All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. So I wanted to make a video about father and son bodybuilders. So I thought this would be a good video, especially with the timing of Father's Day coming up here soon. So I thought it'd be a very good timing to make this video. So the first father and son duo that we're going to look at is obviously probably the most impressive of all the father-son duos that I have here. So Dorian Yates and his son Lewis Yates. So for those of you who are new to bodybuilding, I'm going to give a brief intro on each of these bodybuilders because maybe you haven't heard of them or you don't know who they are. So Dorian Yates is a six-time Mr. Olympia champion. He was primarily successful in the 1990s as a bodybuilder. His son, Lewis Yates, is 26 years old, and he currently runs Temple Gym in Birmingham, UK. So for those of you who are familiar with Dorian Yates, that was the gym that he actually owned when he was at the peak of his competitive career. So now he's kind of handed it over to his son because Dorian is currently living and training in Spain. And I believe Dorian Yates is opening some gyms over there in Spain as well. So obviously, as you can see in these photos of his son Lewis, he looks very impressive. His conditioning is very good. He's got a decent amount of size to his musculature compared to some of these other father and son duos that I'll show you guys. I think he's done pretty well for himself, especially considering the fact that Lewis Yates does not want to be a competitive bodybuilder. He said that in the past, and he does not compete, and he will not in the future. So I think that's kind of cool that he has these, amazing genetics for bodybuilding and just chooses not to compete. Because I think, honestly, he would be a pretty good force in a NPC show. He'd definitely be someone to keep your eye out for. If he competed in the NPC, he would probably be a pretty competitive NPC bodybuilder. So next on the list, we have Darum and his son, Rennell Charles. So Darum Charles, for those of you who don't know, was primarily a 1990s and 2000s bodybuilder, but he still competes to this day. So he won a total of 14 pro shows in his competitive career. He was in the Olympia. He was kind of a high placer at the Olympia. Arnold Classics. He was a high placer at the Arnold Classics throughout the 90s and 2000s. So he's just kind of always on the scene, but he never really won any major big shows like the Olympia or the Arnold, but he was always consistently placing very high and doing very well and just doing a lot of shows over the course of his career. So he went from bodybuilding to competing in the new classic physique division, and he won a whole bunch of pro shows as a classic physique competitor, which I find very interesting because his son Rennell Charles actually started out as a bodybuilder as well, competing in NPC shows as a bodybuilder. But Rennell Charles actually recently switched over to classic physique as well, and he's done very well as a classic physique competitor, just like his dad has. So Rennell has recently won the 2016 NPC Diamond Cup. He won the classic physique division, and he won his class in bodybuilding. So he crossed over to classic physique, and he also did bodybuilding, and he won both classes. He's got a very impressive physique. His legs are just absolutely insane. If you look at this guy's legs, I think he might have even had better genetics for bodybuilding than his dad did, because Darum wasn't really known for his leg development, but his son really has some crazy legs on him. So that's a very good genetics for bodybuilding Rennell has, and I'm excited to see what he goes on to do in the future. Because to be honest with you guys, I think Rennell has the potential to go pro in classic physique, so we'll probably see him on an IFBB pro stage one day. So I think that's going to be very cool to be the son of an IFBB pro and turn pro as well. So we're going to see that in the next pair that we have here. So the next father-son duo we have is Sergio Oliva and Sergio Oliva Jr. So for those of you who are not familiar with Sergio Oliva, he was a three-time Mr. Olympia champion. He was most well known for being one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's biggest rivals in bodybuilding. Unfortunately, he recently passed away in 2012, so he was not able to see the success that his son would have, or even see that his son would turn pro. And he had 20 total title wins during his bodybuilding career. And he's also famous for being the last man to defeat Arnold Schwarzenegger in a bodybuilding competition. So his son, Sergio Oliva Jr., actually only recently turned pro at the 2015 NPC Nationals, where he won the overall. He would wait to compete until 2017, where he very recently won and competed in the New York Pro, which is a very big bodybuilding show. Many people would argue it's probably the third biggest or most popular show next to the Arnold Classic and the Olympia. So that's a massive victory and a massive feather in Sergio Oliva Jr.'s cap. So not only where he and his father both pro bodybuilders, but it looks like he's going to go on to have a very successful career as a professional bodybuilder as well. So we're very excited to see what Sergio Oliva Jr. is going to do and see how close he comes to following in his father's footsteps. Maybe one day he will also win a Mr. Olympia, which would be a very impressive thing to do, and would possibly be the very first man to ever win an Olympia whose father had also won an Olympia. So that would be a very exciting thing to see. So we got to look forward to that in the future and see where he takes his physique. And Sergio Jr. also loves to hit that victory pose that his father was so famous for. Every chance that he gets to hit that pose, he loves to hit it. So we look forward to seeing great things from Sergio Jr. So next up on the list, we have Lee Labrada and his son, Hunter Labrada. So Lee Labrada was a very popular bodybuilder in the 80s and 90s, and he was famous for placing top 4 at the Olympia for 7 consecutive years. And he is also an IFBB Hall of Famer. In addition to that, he had a number of professional wins. He competed for a very long time and won a large number of titles in bodybuilding. So his son, Hunter Labrada, he attended Texas A&M University. He is 5'8", 243 pounds in the off-season, according to his Body Space account. He's 25 years old, so he's only 1 year older than me. His competition weight is 235 pounds on stage, according to the Labrada Nutrition website. He was the overall winner of the 2016 NPC Branch Warren Classic. So it's interesting because his father was known for having kind of a smaller and more aesthetic physique, and Hunter seems to be kind of a mass monster in a lot of ways for being such a young guy, weighing 235 pounds on stage at an NPC show. That's a pretty heavy guy on stage, especially for that height. So we look forward to seeing good things from Hunter in the future as well, and I would expect that he would probably turn pro one day, especially being as young as he is and being able to put on mass as easily as he can. It would be very cool to see him turn pro one day as well and follow in his father's footsteps. So finally on this list, we have a kind of reverse situation. We have John De La Rosa and his father, William De La Rosa. So John De La Rosa is actually the more successful of the two, and he is the son, not the father. And the father, William De La Rosa, actually started competing in bodybuilding later in life and not early in life. So John De La Rosa is probably the one that got him into bodybuilding in the first place. So John De La Rosa is an IFBB pro bodybuilder. His most noteworthy win was the Wings of Strength competition. He was an MHP sponsored athlete, so he was probably very well known for that. And most recently, he was defeated in the 2017 New York Pro by another guy on this list, Sergio Oliva Jr. So that's pretty interesting that both of those guys are on this list and they were in that same competition recently. So very cool list. And finally on my list, I have myself and my dad. So my dad was actually a competitive bodybuilder in the 1980s, the mid to early 80s. And he competed primarily in local shows. But he did actually compete at teen nationals at one point in time. So I'm going to show a few photos of him here. I thought you guys might enjoy a little bit of insight into my life at the end of this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Have a great Father's Day, guys. Spend a lot of time with your dads. Tell them you love them. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.